Today on the ScreenBlast Podcast, we're doing a quick trailer talk. We've got to talk about that magical lasagna from the Garfield movie trailer. And, of course, we've got to bring up what the hell Sony's doing with Madam Web. Then after that, I'll be reviewing Napoleon.
Dynamite.
This is the ScreenBlast Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Bryan the Baltimorean. Find me there on Instagram. Of course, find me right here on the ScreenBlast Podcast on your favorite podcast service. And to my left,
Bryan the Baltimorean.
I don't know what this was, but you know, I was like, I got to do something here.
Wakanda forever. Bryan the Baltimorean.
Oh my god! But all right, that's him.
K9 Biscuits. That's K9BISKETS.com. Go to it.
You should really take the name K9 Biscuits. It's just really fucking funny. You should just make that like a website. K9 Biscuits. All right. Anyway, guys, over here at the ScreenBlast Podcast, of course, we've got a lineup of not just talking about movies and things like that, but we also talk about things like games. In fact, we
like fucking great value logo.
Yeah, that's one of our recent game reviews. That was Forza Motorsport 2023 that just came out, of course. So we reviewed that on Blasting Trouble Reports, our video game centric conversation. We also have Cartoon Chat, which is a place where we chill and talk animation. We have ScreenBlast, which we will have a new episode of talking about, we're talking about Ted, we're talking about the awesome Leo. We got a cool episode coming up for you on that. And of course, we're talking here on ScreenBlast, the big, awesome movies that hit the big screen. Mark, what can they do at Have a Cow? What can they enjoy?
Some good memes, actual news topics that don't have anything to do with like fucking media and shit. Okay, well sometimes just stuff we don't feel like talking about on our actual podcast, on our like movie and game podcast, and like old commercials. You get nostalgic, or we just like riff on some new commercials.
We also talk about prayer there, the Lord, spiritual guidance.
Oh. And Satan!
Alright, guys, you can find all that.
And death by coughing.
Death by coughing. Alright, guys, we're going to go ahead and get rolling. Let's talk some trailer stuff. Today, of course, let's talk this Garfield movie. Now, Mark, you are way more of a Garfield man than I am. You are a massive fan. You believe that old Garfield movie from the mid-2000s is mint, that it's some of the best Garfield content ever made, and you are very
yeah, Microsoft really hit it out of the park with this year's Starfield release. So, like, I got, like, a couple hours in, and the gameplay and graphics are, like, are pretty good.
Mark, you were watching Lightyear on screen. I don't know where you got Starfield from. But in all reality, of course, in the real world here, the Garfield movie was obviously already announced, but we finally have a teaser for it. This is our first real look at Garfield, and it will be coming out next year. Mark, what do you think? You are the Garfield man. You have a significant connection to the character because he is your father, and so what do you think?
Better father than you'll ever be.
Holy shit. How dare you? No.
You leave me and my family out of this. But I always loved Garfield. Mainly the old era with the original shorts. I mean the original specials and the and Garfield and Friends. And like the definitive voice for Garfield will always be Lorenzo Music. He has like the most like comforting voice. And like I just like
yeah, Odie, make sure to pass the bacon bits.
Where's my god? Why do you feed me lasagna, John?
Where are you?
You know I'm going to die. You're just trying to speed up the process. Fuck it, I guess I'll keep eating lasagna. Where's my lasagna, John?
Blasting turbo ports more like blasting my intestines, John.
Blasting up my ass.
Too awful Garfield in front of you.
You're the one. You started it.
I know. Sorry, go ahead. Lorenzo Music is the GOAT.
Yeah, Lorenzo Music is the go-to. He's the definitive Garfield voice. He has such a comedy voice. like I love those old Garfield and Friends is fucking funny. It's a funny show still, and it's a fun one. But like sadly he died, and like
what?
Lorenzo Music died in like what fucking 2006 or something or 5.
What?
Or 2000. Every guy he died somewhere in the 2000s.
Oh.
But like then we got Bill Murray playing Garfield in the Garfield movies, and those movies are ass.
Dude, I didn't even really know Garfield outside of like the like a couple of comic strips that I would read when I was like somewhere bored. And I even knew, God, that was awful. That was atrocious.
It looked like
holy shit, dude. That was bad.
Yeah, he didn't even look right. It just like that like Bill Murray wasn't really
doing
Garfield
anything.
No, I know, but he wasn't really doing a Garfield impression. He was more like a prima donna.
Yes.
He was more dramatic because Garfield was like, I'm lazy. I don't want to do this. Fuck everything. Fuck Mondays. And like Bill Murray was like, oh man, come on, you can't dance, can you? Let me get some of that lasagna, John. He's doing it wrong.
It's a very weird interpretation.
But like here's what's funny. Here's what like people keep talking about how like how people keep comparing Bill Murray to Garfield. Because Lorenzo Music, he played Garfield, and for the Ghostbusters show he played Bill Murray's character. I forgot the name of it. The name of his Ghostbuster character. But he plays Bill Murray. He pretty much plays Bill Murray in the cartoon show for Ghostbusters.
Right.
And Bill Murray, he played his character in Ghostbusters, and he played Garfield in the Garfield movie.
It's an interesting role reverse.
Yeah, even Rick and Morty fucking
made a joke about it.
Yeah, made a joke about it. It's funny and weird. And then like we got like Frank Welker for like the Garfield direct-to-video movies in the show in the late 2000s.
Right.
First of all,
you sound so excited.
Those shows and movies, those shows and like home movies, direct-to-video movies, are not very good. I don't like the 2010, I think, Garfield show. It's not. It doesn't even feel like the comics at all. But like, and he does like a Garfield voice, kind of mediocre. You can hear his voice in the newest Nickelodeon cartoon Brawl Stars, Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl. They use his voice clips.
Oh, that's cool. That's right.
I'm like he sounds fine. He sounds fine enough.
Okay.
But like now we got Chris Pratt voicing him.
Yeah, so let's talk about Chris Pratt. Mark, what's
the Crispy-Rat?
Crispy-Raticus? Yes, yes. What's your favorite role Chris Pratt has been in? Sort of in terms of the big stuff that you recognize: Jurassic, Guardians, Parks and Rec. If you love Mario, Lego Movie.
I remember he was announced to be Mario around the same time he was announced for Garfield, and that's when people felt it was like overload Chris Pratt.
He was announced that far back. It was
for Garfield around the same time, like probably not the same day, but close, around the same time he was announced to be Garfield. He was announced to be Mario.
Oh, okay.
So like people was like, why is they putting Chris Pratt in everything now?
Yeah. That's definitely...
That's when people felt overloaded Pratt, because he was just, like, announced for voices.
Yeah, it's like he became the, hey, we're just gonna shove this guy into whatever blank animated character and hopefully see if that'll ride success. And the thing about Chris Pratt, though, is he's attached to many franchises that, attempted success and became successful, notably Lego Movie, obviously. He voices the main character there. Boom, it becomes a success. Now, that's not necessarily because of him, obviously. That's because of the entire production of the movie itself. But you could say the same thing about the Guardians of the Galaxy. You could say the same thing about the Jurassic trilogy there. You could say the same thing about some of his Amazon works later on in the past couple of years, like the Tomorrow War and the Terminal List, where, those things sort of catch fire because he's cast there. So, he definitely has star power. And that's the thing. It's like, obviously... these companies are kind of desperate in a time where everything is kind of bombing. It's like we need something to hopefully stick us there. It just kind of stinks that it's only one guy and there's a lot of voice talent out there.
I like how people are like predicting, already predicting, oh, he's gonna play Zelda. He's gonna play Link.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine? I know they already cast. Didn't they already cast?
No, they didn't.
They
Not
did.
yet.
He's too old.
We just know they're working for Sony.
Yeah, that's a funny one too. Yeah, but yeah, you wonder who on God's green earth are they going to cast for that? But no, like I think he's very versatile as well. Like, you know, if you want him to play, he could probably at this age. I mean, he's looking a little older now, clearly, but he could probably in a couple of years play Santa Claus. Clearly, like he could go from playing Santa Claus to playing some fit buff dude that could kill you. Like he's got a lot of range. He can clearly play a character that's very like mentally scarred, or play a character that's very happy.
Oh yeah, he was in Onward.
Thank you. And even Pixar picked him up with Onward. So, you know, it's but that was because of his MCU leanings as well. So it's one of those things where, you know, Chris Pratt's the guy you fit in. Overall, though, what do you think of the trailer? We're talking a lot about Chris Pratt. What do you think about this trailer here, this teaser for the Garfield movie?
It looks fine. It looks fine. It doesn't look like the Garfield and all Garfields. It doesn't look like it doesn't give me like that much nostalgia for the comics or the Garfield and Friends still, but like it looks like it's like doing its own thing, but its own thing looks like it looks like a decent afternoon watch. It looks like a decent movie. Not really offensive. I like that that it's low stakes as like the like as Garfield should be. Because, like, it looks like he just meets his father, but, like, they get back to the house somehow. So, and it doesn't really feel like, you know, the focus is going to be on Garfield and, like, just the way he lives most of the time. From what I got from the teaser. Chris Pratt, you know, I wouldn't think to be a fitting voice for Garfield, but, like, I'm okay with this, with, like, him voicing, like, this incarnation of Garfield, because, like, even though he can't be the Garfield, it's like, okay, for this incarnation of it, I can adapt to it, because there's a lot of like voices that wouldn't fit the characters normally, but like, I can just say to myself, hey, this incarnation for this, I can get used to it. Like I wouldn't feel like Ben Schwartz would not be a fitting voice for like
no
for Sonic. For like if you saw the video game Sonic, I wouldn't see Ben Schwartz's voice.
Oh, I thought you were about to say for Garfield. I was like,
no.
I just I'm sorry, you made me. I'm sorry, in my head that was like a hilariously awful connection. Like trying to make him Garfield.
Ben Schwartz's voice. I wouldn't see him with the
with the movie Sonic.
Ben Schwartz's voice, I would not see it work with the video game design of Sonic.
Ah, okay.
But with the movie Sonic, I got used to it, and it's like, okay, that particular design of that character, is like it's attached to that voice for me at least. So it's like I can get used to it. It's like a different kind of character. It's like a different kind of character and a different version of that character. And like another big example for me was like I used to read the Cat in Underpants books.
Yeah.
I forget which one is. I think it's George is the black one. I would never imagine him with fucking Kevin Hart's voice. That kid character with Kevin Hart's voice. That was weird. But watching the movie, I got used to it, and I was like, okay, I can get used to this incarnation of this character. Just has Kevin Hart's voice.
Right. The cinematic version works.
Yeah.
That's where it will stay.
Because why I bring up all those examples is because these voices, they made it work for these designs, and now, so I can attach these designs or these versions of the characters to that voice.
That's understandable.
And if you use the exact same design, that'll be a bit hard to get used to.
Definitely.
So, I mean, because this design of Garfield, I like it. It's cute. It looks different from the comics. It's not a one-to-one. I do like the art direction. The animation isn't anything unique, but like the art direction at least, it's fun to look at. Yeah. And it doesn't look like anything big or anything special. But like it looks like I'm going to see this movie. I am going to see this movie, and it's going to be like it's just going to be enjoyable. It's going to be a very good, a solid like C+ movie. I see myself in the future either giving this between a 6 or 7 out of 10, and I can just be satisfied with that.
Yeah. No, I think your point is definitely absolutely valid. Like that idea of it being small stakes, just writing his world is perfect. There's a lot of movies, obviously, that take an IP, an animated IP. We now have to turn it into a superhero. He needs to save the world. And, you have these, like, whether it's a cat or a dog, we've seen, like, quite a couple, 3 or 4 movies. Not seen them, but they've been out where it's like in the past 12 months.
You've seen this character before, but you've never seen him in these stakes.
In this type of situation, and that's like something that they keep throwing at audiences now. So yeah, it's good to have a movie like this where, it's just Garfield. And, I do like the idea that it's, like you said, down to earth, simple stakes, nothing complicated. I think, you know me, I'm not as into Garfield, so when I saw this trailer, I just thought, this is going to be like a generic summer afternoon with Chris Pratt. And look, I think, like you said, his voice works for this role. I mean, clearly with the facial features, things like that, you can, kind of feel the Chris Prattisms through, like, the way that the motions move, like, through the motion of the character, things like that. I think it works well. I think it's fine. Like, in a world where, unique animation, unique art design is now at the streaming level. This is fine. This works, and obviously it's way better than something like Paw Patrol, animate like art design wise, which is very safe. It's better than a lot of what we've seen from Despicable Me. So you are getting a little bit of differentiation there. And again, like it seems like a solid, like, if I'm going to see this, I'm definitely going to see it for a discount at a discount theater, and it's solid looking.
I just want to say real quick, you mentioned Paw Patrol. I just want, because there's nowhere else I'm going to talk about this, but like, I don't watch that fucking baby show, but like, I'm so used to seeing trailers for that, like, for those movies.
Yeah.
And then like I see a clip of the actual show, and it's like, oh fuck. Like, it's just like, it's weird seeing these characters with like less textures and shit.
Yes.
I know the baby kids are probably already used to it, but like, it's just so jarring because like I've been heard of Paw Patrol in the zeitgeist, but like, I just like seeing it in motion. My first time seeing it actually in motion or watching a significant amount of it was those fucking trailers to those movies.
Yeah.
And then like, I just saw a clip like of the show floating around, and just like, ugh! It's just so weird.
I understand.
I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, the downscaling is real. I will say though, before we exit off of this, gotta mention, this is again when we talk about perfect teaser trailers. I don't need anything else, but they're gonna give us probably 3 more trailers before this comes out. We gotta deal with it, but especially since it's Sony, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna get 3 more trailers. Like, it's gonna reveal, because I like the idea that, like, don't tell me why the dad's there. I know what's probably gonna happen through the journey, but like, I don't need to know. I'll see it when I see it, and that's it. Like, don't spoil the whole movie for me, please. But that's what Sony does. They're gonna do it, and then we're gonna wonder why this movie may or may. I think it's gonna do fine financially, but if it doesn't,
Garfield's a big ass IP. There's a reason Viacom like fucking bought the shit. But like, that's.
I mean, emojis are a big deal.
Yeah, that's another weird thing. It's like
emojis are a big deal, Mark. What are you talking about?
I thought Paramount was like. Didn't the Emoji Movie make?
Oh,
money?
that did. I think it made money. Fuck yeah.
Thanks to you.
It was your fault. You're doing.
But like, if fuck.
Yeah, your joke.
Oh yeah. I thought like, because like it's weird. I thought like the since it's a Viacom property, it was weird that Paramount wasn't working on this. But then we found out later that like,
this is a third-party animation studio or an animation studio that's working on this, while simultaneously the rights were being passed around. So it started out originally at Paramount
before they bought Garfield.
Sony acquired Sony then acquired the rights to the distribution, and boom, now it is. It's not a Sony Pictures Animation movie. It's not a Sony Pictures Animation movie, but it is a movie that's going to be distributed by Sony. So yeah.
So it's a Paramount movie?
No. No. They don't get the rights to that. It's just a movie that Sony will break. It's like you split certain divisions off.
So I wonder if this is going to end up on Netflix, or Paramount is just going to just give it to us.
That's a weird. Yeah, that's going to be a question later. I wonder. I'm sure they divided that out when they were agreeing to acquiring the distribution rights. But
yeah, because right now, Garfield's a Nicktoon.
Apparently he's a Nicktoon. Clearly a bold Nicktoon. Yeah.
He's in Nickelodeon. He's in Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl.
Right.
He's one of the starting roster characters in the fucking new one.
Absolutely.
Just like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles air Nicktoons.
100%. Yeah. Let's all right. Let's go ahead and move off. We're going to talk about Madam Web in a second, but while we're doing this, we're just going to have the trailer go on while this is happening, while we're talking about this.
All right. Yeah. I'm excited to see the trailer. All right. Let me strap in. Let me see what this is.
Mark, you're dressed up in red, so you clearly are excited about Madam Web.
The Eggman verse.
Yeah. So let's talk about.
So where's this trailer?
Where's the trailer, Mark? We're looking at it right here. So. We've Mark's, the funny thing is Mark's acting like we haven't necessarily seen the trailer yet, but we have seen this before. This, of course, is Sony. Of course, they still have the rights to all things in the realm of Spider. See, Nintendo's gonna have such a tight fucking leash on Sony. There is no fucking way. They're gonna have a tighter leash than Illumination, dude. Like, Illumination actually makes box office successes. That's the thing. Sony, look at this. If I saw that and I worked at Nintendo, I would be very worried. We're working with who?
Miyamoto. They probably don't understand what fucking Americans want. They probably don't watch this movie. They assume, oh, this looks good. So it's like, I guess what they want. So like, we'll just we'll order one Zelda movie that looks just like this.
That would be. You know how quickly people would turn on Nintendo?
Because they're.
Oh my god.
Because Nintendo, like the Mario movie is evident that Nintendo is like full on just give like fucking appeal to like the broadest demographic of Hollywood. Look at the fucking voice cast of Mario movie.
Yeah, it's very safe. That's it. Very safe. Very like, hey, this guy's big. This guy's big. This guy's big.
Fucking it's probably gonna be like next week. We're gonna get the fucking Link is going to be played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. It's probably gonna be that announced.
Yeah. I just realized.
Zelda played by, I don't know,
so
Margot Robbie.
This is just me. Madam Web, do you know about the Madam Web comics at all?
No. I only know Madam Web from the Shattered Dimensions video game.
Oh, okay.
She's like the... in better words, she's like the fucking Doctor Strange of that game. She's like... she's going between the multiverses and trying to get all the Spider-Man together to work together.
Okay.
And that, you know what Shattered Dimensions is?
Shattered Dimensions?
Yeah.
Yeah, the game?
It's a multiverse Spider-Man game that, I think it's the first, Spider-Man series to have, like, a multiverse story, because even before the Spider-Verse
yeah, it's years before before the Spider-Verse comics.
Yeah, like, okay. It was the first to do a multiverse story in the Spider-Man mythos.
Interesting.
Even before the comics did it.
Yeah.
And, so yeah, it was like the first Spider-Verse thing, and Madam Web was kind of between all the... You don't play as Madam Web, but you play as all the Spider-Man. 4 different Spider-Man. I think it was like Spider-Man Noir, Spider-Man Ultimate, and Spider-Man 2099. And like she just like communicates you between all of them. Decent game.
Yeah. I was going to say, I'm going to be honest with you. I was going to ask if you knew if it was in New York, because for a second I thought that was the Chicago Sears Tower. But then I realized, that can't be, because it looks different from the Chicago Sears Tower. I was going to say, they really chose a background image that's wrong, because that's got to be New York. But no, so this doesn't seem like Madam Web at all from what I've seen, what I've heard about people that know about comics. She's more of an oracle, more of an all-seeing eye that's sort of a much bigger deal to the Spider Universe. And what they're doing here is they're making her this young adult character that has a band of friends. And so we can sort of market this to the young adult audience, and we can have some action that looks really cheap. This trailer, I want to just talking about the trailer alone. This looks atrocious. The action sequences here, like there's a guy, there's more than a few like people on YouTube Shorts and TikTok that do their own like choreography fight scenes that look 10 times better than what the fuck this is, and this is a big budget movie. What are we doing? This looks terrible, dude.
Now, just one little side. I just want to add. I think Madam Web was supposed to have a part in Spider-Verse 2, but like I think because of time restraints and the movie's already fucking bloated.
Like this Madam Web?
Yeah, just Madam Web in general. I think a character, Madam Web.
Oh, okay.
She was supposed to have like a role in this movie, but it didn't happen. But they said she's going to have a part in Spider-Verse 3. Whether it's probably this Madam Web or their own Madam Web, it's probably gonna be their own Madam Web. They're just trying to disconnect them shits as far as they can from this whatever fuck like clusterfuck universe this is.
It is so depressing.
Like she was like supposed to have a part in the Spider-Verse mythos. I mean, in the Spider-Verse series.
Yeah.
But like her part is yet to come. It's probably gonna come in the third one.
Yeah, it's so depressing that this is the same studio that pumps out Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse and gives you optimism about the future of the ideas of Spider-Man, the ideas of what you could do with the Spider-Man lore, the ideas of what you could do with the universe. And every other year, they just keep bringing out dog shit. It's like, okay, I understand if you guys like Let There Be Carnage, but that was a movie that was clearly a mess.
Both Venom movies are a mess, but they're
right.
they're campy and they don't take themselves seriously. That's the fun about them.
Sure.
Morbius takes I know. I'm not saying it's good, but like that's the most fun you're gonna get from these fucking Sony slots.
Morbius?
No. Fuck. What I'm saying is the Venom movies, Venom 1 and 2, they're campy and they don't take themselves seriously. They're not. Yes. I'm not saying they're good. I'm just saying that's the most fun you're gonna get from these Sony slots.
I agree.
Mobius takes itself very seriously.
Morbius, yes.
From the looks of it, Craven takes itself seriously.
That's the thing is we're getting out of the campy material of this idea from that. It is a fun time. Like that's the thing. It's a fun time being in Venom and Venom universe. The obviously Venom's in this universe apparently too, but it's a cool idea. In fact, it was a cool enough idea that it's like, ooh, this isn't too bad of a place that you could put Andrew Garfield into. But then you tell us that Morbius is in this universe. Morbius takes itself way too seriously. Craven takes itself super seriously. And this movie seems to take itself just as fucking seriously with like a budget that looks terrible. From me? Yeah, with a trailer that sounds atrocious. The music choice was awful. This doesn't. It's like the fucking effect of like the quick cut. Like, what is this? 2009, dude?
And they're not explaining like if you're gonna cut a lot, just like what's the fuck is going on? I guess that's a selling point in the movie. Like, ooh, what the fuck is going on? Find out and watch. Watch and find out. But like, that's not helping sell. It just looks like a fucking mess.
It looks.
Trailer. Yeah. I don't know anything about Madam Web for the comics or a role in the comics. I just know like that bit of her from the fucking Shattered Dimensions video game. Yeah. Other than that, I don't know about her. Did you check the synopsis of this shit?
No, but I know.
Apparently, Uncle Ben and Aunt May have a role in this.
Why? And by the way, who is going? Which Uncle
May?
But which Aunt May and which Uncle Ben? Because they still haven't locked in on a fucking Spider-Man yet. That's the weird thing about this.
I don't know if they can. I think there's like a weird contract thing where like they can
not only... Tom Holland. I'm saying like we're still in a world where
can they use other Spider-Man though? I'm not sure if they're allowed to.
They have all the Spider. What are you talking about? Sony has theatrical use of Spider-Man, and then remember, even in the Avengers in the MCU, that's still Sony agreeing to that.
Yes,
they have control of that.
But like, I don't know if the agreement is only Marvel Studios.
No, it's not Marvel Studios. No, Sony still owns the rights.
I know they own the rights. I mean, because we have it because they promised Spider-Man in these movies, but like. They haven't done it yet. They would have done it if they.
I think they just. It's Sony, dude. It's not that they would have done it. It's literally like they want to obviously work with Tom Holland, but I think that they just could drop in. They should just drop in another actor. They clearly want to work with Tom Holland, but they should just drop in another actor entirely. And make an entirely new Spider-Man.
So I don't know for sure. I'm just going to explain for a bit what I think is going on.
Okay.
Is where it's like, I think there's like a contract they sign with Marvel Studios where it's like, they can only use Spider-Man, like these Spider-Man in their movies. But Sony, for any villain for anything they're not using any MCU, Sony can just do whatever they want with it.
No, because again, they have the rights to all of the Spider-Man universe theatrically. That's the only thing they don't have is video games and television.
Everything else.
Yeah, so they have that. And again, I think that my thought is that it's literally down to the Tom Holland contract with the MCU, not what Spider stuff they can use, but what the contract is with the MCU and Tom Holland. That's where I think it lies. And again, I think at the end of the day, like, we've gone through now 3 Spider-Men in the span of, like, literally since the beginning of the century, since 2000. We can just, and we also have Miles Morales. Like, why don't you just bring in an actor that looks like Peter Parker from the Spider-Verse movies? I really don't know why.
It's weird that they don't have a Peter Parker in any of these movies, because they did promise, like...
It was originally planned that they were going to use that same universe as the MCU, because they had Vulture, of course, in the teasers of Morbius? What the fuck is that shitty... Morbius? Yeah, Morbin Time, yeah. Remember? The teaser of the...
I remember that.
Morbin Time had Vulture in it. It's like, hey.
And it had those fucking Spider-Man posters.
And it had the original Spider-Man posters, too.
No, here's the thing. The poster was of PS4 Spider-Man in the suit of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man.
Sony.
So that it made it even more weird. That's how you can see they're just like, that's why they're just plastered in the background. That was probably like the most recent thing. But it's where they don't have a Peter Parker in any of these movies yet, because I remember during the production of Venom 2, they kept talking about, like, oh yeah, they're planning a scene where Venom fights Spider-Man. Spider-Man might actually show up in this movie. They didn't say which Spider-Man. They didn't say it was Andrew Garfield or Tom Holland, but, like, they said there was going to be, like, a Spider-Man fight in Venom 2. Venom 2 comes out, there's, like, fucking no Spider-Man at all, with the exception of that fucking MCU crossover cliffhanger.
Yeah, it's just time.
Fake one. Yeah.
It's just time. Bring in an entirely new actor. It doesn't need to be Tom Holland. I also don't need Tom Holland stained with these shitty fucking villains. This has just been a shit show over at Sony. Like, they don't know what they're doing. They have no real connective tissue. And the connective tissue is only between the worst fucking villains we've ever seen. Like, these are atrocious. Like, I think, like, Dar-Benn is probably the only worst villain compared to some of these fucking Sony villains.
I feel like Sony's trying to do this on purpose, because, like, it makes Spider-Verse looks like a fucking accident. Like a happy accident happened.
Yeah, it's like, how is this so good? How is this so good, but you fucked up everything else?
Because this is the perfect opportunity to, like, have a good Spider-Man movie to show up Marvel, because, like, they're doing bad right now.
Yep.
And it's like, if Sony was to make the better Marvel movies, that will put them in the spotlight.
Dude, I still remember 10 years ago, now it's 10 years ago, that, again, people were so confused because there was the Marvel Cinematic Universe that was starting, and because everything was labeled in association with Marvel, everything was labeled Marvel in the beginning of their movies. You had the X-Men universe at Fox that was firing on all cylinders. They had First Class coming in. They had all these things that were building up to Days of Future Past, which was an amazing movie. Days of Future Past was a fucking fantastic movie. And then Sony had rebooted Spider-Man with Amazing Spider-Man, and of course there was Amazing Spider-Man 2. So everything was like, everything was fluid, everything was solid, there was no mess. Now we're just in a mess. X-Men is not as yet to be existent in any, in terms of the franchise in the MCU, so that's on pause for now. The MCU is in a bad state, and yeah, Sony could drop in and actually make a good Spider-Man live-action film, but it seems like they just don't know how to do it. Which is incredibly embarrassing for a studio that has all the potential in the world to really face off against the MCU. They're the only studio right now that's ready. It's going to take DC a couple more years to build up to get to that, James Gunn to build up those characters to get to a point where they can
I hope he can.
Yeah, and I hope he can too. But Sony's the only one that literally has all the tools right now, and they keep making this shit.
Spider-Man universe is a golden universe on its own, and the movies in Spider-Verse are like proof of that.
Yeah.
Like, by the way, those fucking video games, those Spider-Man PS4 and PS5 Spider-Man, and Miles Morales, they're like fucking, they're so cinematic, they're like good-ass movies on their own, too.
Yeah, that's
like, Insomniac is like, they don't need to try because the games are good. Insomniac is writing better fucking movies.
Than their movie department.
They're writing better cinematic features than fucking Marvel currently and Sony.
Yeah, well, it's embarrassing that your video game division is writing better fucking Spider-Man stories than your goddamn movie division.
Yeah.
How is that fucking They made a better Kraven than the movie that hasn't even come out yet. How the fuck is that possible?
But now, okay, so now I just want to see Kraven get beat up. I don't want to see a movie where I root for him. Because not that fucking Spider-Man 2 made me hate Kraven.
No.
It made me love Kraven.
Yes.
But like I just love that like he's the villain.
Yes.
And so I just want to see Kraven get beat up by Peter Parker. And like you're telling me you're giving me this movie where I have to fucking root for him?
Yeah, it's very weird that they keep making these type of movies.
By the way, Adam Scott plays Ben Parker.
Adam Scott, I don't... No, I mean, like...
Ben Parker's in this, though. I don't fucking know who Adam Scott is, but like, I couldn't find a synopsis that, like...
I think Adam Scott is a completely new actor that hasn't played in previous movies, so, you know... Let me just do a quick pause here.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Oh, it's the guy that was in the ambulance with her. Are you serious? He was her co-assistant in the ambulance. He was the other medic guy. He's way too young. Are you serious? This is supposed to be like a...
It's a young Ben Parker. It's supposed to be a young Ben Parker.
Then how long are they going to wait until they make a goddamn Spider-Man movie? 34 years?
When the fuck they feel like it.
Jesus God, man. What? Okay. Anyway, just to wrap things up, Sony doesn't know how to handle anything outside of their animation, I guess. Because this is atrocious, and
and it's supposed to, like, all those women you see, they're supposed to be different Spider-Man women. So, like, you got Silk in there, you got Spider-Woman. I forgot what the fourth
Wait,
one.
are you serious? They're all supposed, like, that gang of friends is supposed to be fucking...
Yeah. The main one, of course, is Madam Web, Madam Web, and then the other one is supposed to be Silk. Another one is supposed to be fucking, Spider-Woman. I don't know who the fourth... I forget who the fourth one is. She's another Spider-Woman.
Wait, so what you're telling me
is... She's not Gwen,
So what you're telling me is...
Gwen
Yeah, alright. So what you're telling me is they're not actually going to make a Spider-Man movie because they're going to try... They're desperately trying to make a female Spider-Man movie out of this.
They were trying to make a Silk movie for a while. I don't know if that's still in production. They're also still trying to make a, Black Cat movie.
Yeah, that's right. Which is probably going to be non-sexualized either.
Doesn't matter how...
She's an attractive... That's the whole... Isn't that the whole fucking point of her character? If you literally take out any appeal out of her character, you make her, like, wear nothing... Like, you don't give her any appeal. Fuck you. Don't make a movie about that then. Alright? Like...
You can. It's just like...
No, for you, Mark.
No, it's like, why? No, but still, it's like making a fucking Catwoman movie with Halle Berry back in the 2000s. Why would you do that?
Well, she was a hot actress at the time. That made sense. She was hot, but it's the movie
sucked,
itself.
though.
Yes, the movie sucked, but she was actually a hot actress. That made sense. If you
that way was uncomfortable. Because the thing about like the sexual that's not a selling point. It's just like the thing about the sexualization is like it's fun around the main character or like the main character like who's like weird with it or comfortable. Like Catwoman like sexualizing this. It's funny with Batman because Batman's just like so straight faced.
Yes.
And he's like, I'm sexy, I'm gonna rub against you. And Peter Parker is just like he's a fucking weird nerd.
Yes.
And like he gets so flustered around Catwoman, and that's the fun part about that too.
Sure.
So and it's like,
but if you make her disinteresting,
it's just like a fucking.
Well, no, she's basically like
stripper superhero. She's like stripperella.
Yes.
Stan Lee, which is a Stanley creation, by the way.
Yeah.
It's fucking stripperella.
Right. So don't take that out of the fucking character.
Don't make it at all.
That's what I mean.
Care.
Right. Okay. If you guys don't, that's what I'm saying. If they don't want to actually invest into that, then don't fucking do it. Or you're going to make the box office losses that this movie is definitely going to make. I know this is not going to make money. Because people are going to see this and think of Morbius all over again. Because, you know, that's what
this is. Morbius.
Yeah.
He's probably... Him and fucking... I can't wait for... I want the next Morbius movie to be called The Adventures of Morbius and Vulture. Just call that... That's the whole title. The Adventures of Morbius and Vulture.
I want a crossover movie called Morbin Web. That's what I want. Morbin Web. Alright. Alright, so we're going to wrap up this episode. I'm going to go ahead and, if I can get over here. Alright. I think we've said enough about Madam Web. I'm going to go ahead and spend a little time. There was another big movie that came out this past, or I should say, prior week. it was a 5-day weekend before we did this, and by the time this comes out, it'll be 2 weeks ago. But Napoleon.
Dynamite.
You were so excited, you literally got ahead of me, bitch. So Napoleon dropped during the Thanksgiving Day weekend against the Wish movie. So check out that review as well, and I just want to share my quick thoughts on this. So when you think of Napoleon, Mark, you probably think of
Dynamite.
You number one probably think of Dynamite, number one, but number two you probably think of when you think of do you know about anything about the historical guy, the short guy, Napoleon?
Did we ever shoot him in any Call of Duties or anything?
What the fuck? No, he's not the. Oh my God! God help us.
I know about him. He's I've seen a lot of cartoons fucking parodying the shit out of him.
Yes.
Now I think I've learned the history before in history class. I don't fucking.
So you don't remember? I don't remember by heart. I don't remember.
I've learned it before.
Jesus Christ! My God! All right. So either way.
Should I watch this movie now? I can go to the theaters while we talk about this if you want.
Okay. All right. So. All right. So. Overall, I'll just put myself on the fucking screen on this one.
Give me a history lesson.
I'm gonna put myself on the screen for this one.
Give me a history lecture.
No, but what I will say is, when you think about something like a Napoleon movie, you probably think, hey, you're probably going to deal with the cool battles. You're going to deal with the history of the character. You're going to get more of a historical piece. What you get here, weirdly enough, is more of a romance movie. It's weird because it spends a lot more time than you would think all about the romance between his wife and himself, and it gets into sort of roles where, okay, how deep can we go into this relationship? Kind of like how people probably didn't expect Oppenheimer to spend so much time on the relationship of that female that he liked at some point in time. But this goes a little further. This goes a little further. What I wish, again, this is way more of a romance story than expected. And look, I'm a guy, right? Because
you are?
I'm a guy. Yes, and so
fuck, this is
the thing that sucks is, all right, shut the fuck. Let me finish. Jesus Christ. So I just want to get through this quickly. So here's the thing, because I want to talk about Leo. I want to talk about an actual great movie.
Yeah.
So the thing is, this is very I want to say that the pros here. This is shot very well. This is Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott does amazing stuff. His last movie was The Last Duel. And it was not medieval, but kind of in that era. And you truly get the battles, and you get them in a genuine way. There's a lot of great sequences here.
And he was responsible for Aliens and Alien.
Yes, but more recently he's done a very, very many what I will say very good historical pieces. When you look at this movie, it feels like you're genuinely looking at something from the past. There's sometimes where the color grading feels a little off, like you didn't need to shade it that brightly or that color or that tone. But other than that, it does feel like the costume design. Is everything good over there?
Yeah.
Okay. The costume.
Why you're? You heard the sound of me sucking my teeth.
Oh, is that what that? Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
the costume design, the set design, all of it is very well executed. Again, you get these get real. It's not. You're not getting a lot of CGI heavy stuff. This is not stuff from the past. All that BS that you
told me there was sex scenes.
You get really. Yes, I did, because that's the other thing. It's there's sex scenes, and there's again I know Ridley Scott when he does these historical pieces. He did this in The Last Duel as well, where it's honest and blunt about it, and it's I could understand one. I didn't need 3 or 4. It's fine. I don't need all that many. And so you have a few of those. It's not really super expressive, showy, but they're there, and they move on pretty quickly. But it's one of those things where it's unnecessary. What I will say is, again, my con here is this film speed rushes through a lot of interesting parts of Napoleon's life. It speed rushes through interesting moments. It speed rushes through interesting situations. Napoleon is a guy that's from France, and this is again in the 1700s, and they traveled all the way down to Egypt in the 1700s, and that quest is very short and brief in the movie. Very brief. This movie is something that I wish was more a full-length series on Netflix, kind of I'm trying to think of The Crown or House of Cards, where you could really sit down and breathe with this movie or like this as a series and get to know the character, because a lot of these scenes are quick next, quick next, quick next, quick next, and then it really slows up when you get to
Bryan, I didn't see the movie, but I can tell you what you don't understand about this movie is the point of speeding up is to get to the sex scenes faster.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. I'll tell you what. It's like, it's one of those things where, again, you get to that romance story and they really slow it down, and it's all about, well, he loves her and she loves him, and it's a little messy, and then it's like
Ridley Scott in the director's chair. All right, now make out.
Sorry, we're talking about the war, but no. So yeah, like I think one of the bigger flaws in this movie, like that I noted, was like, constantly we get this word that the government is changing in France, things are changing in France, but we never really get a lot of the ground level perspective of the people. So that's like there's no real showing that it's really like worse in certain instances. In the beginning, yes, you get that because there's this huge changing tide, but by the end, it's like, or throughout the movie, you're more getting the perspective of only Napoleon, so you don't get anything, neither Napoleon or his wife, so you don't really get much when it comes to what the rest of France is thinking about his rule, outside of like they'll throw a newspaper in your face and say, this is what people think of it.
Actually.
Yeah, I think that this is not his most this is definitely not his most balanced feature, because again, there's like a lot of quick movement, a lot of quick progression, and again, there's some great sequences, some great battle sequences here, but they move rather quickly, except for the end. At the end, they slow it down so much that you really get you get the sense of either movement, time progression, the battles. Like, it slows down way better. Like, it fits way better in the last, I'd say, third of the movie, which it's a 2.5 hour long movie, but it's better at that point in time than it is in the first 40% of the movie, because it zooms through the good stuff.
I like really good period pieces, but it's very easy for this type of format or type of movie to become very boring.
Yeah.
So if it's something that I wasn't already interested to begin with, if I'm looking it up and I see mid or lower scores across the board, I'm just gonna stay away.
Yeah.
If it's something that already catches my interest, I mean, I'm gonna see it obviously. But also if it if it has decent scores or higher across the board, then that will get me to go see it. That's what happened with Killers of the Flower Moon. Because it's period pieces are good, but it's very easy for those movies to become boring, and I have seen boring period pieces, and they suck because there's not much you can get out of them. With modern day, with shitty movies that takes place in modern day. I mean, I feel like there can be probably easier to make fun of, and two, I mean, you at least have fucking product placement or some shit.
Yeah.
There's something in there to latch onto.
Well, again, I think there's genuine examples of actually really good period pieces. And like you said, it depends on if it's boring or not. But
yeah.
I think one of the better examples is Lincoln. Lincoln really knocked it out of the park. You get to establish the man. You get to establish the setting better. You get to establish roles a lot better for what's going on in his surroundings. And
Abraham Lincoln, the Empire. Then it came out nearly at the same time.
It came out I think a year around within 12 months of that movie.
Weird.
Yeah, but they were riding off that success of
Oh, okay.
because it was such a pop culture thing. Everyone went, and it was a financial success. But this movie is a lot more like Oppenheimer, which really for some reason delves a lot more into romance than the historical stuff. It does a lot with historical stuff, Oppenheimer did, but it also spent a lot of time with the romance, which not necessarily something I needed in the movie, but it kind of built that runtime of Oppenheimer it blew it up a lot wider. I could say the same thing here. If you take out if you just sum up a lot of these sort of romantical moments or relationship sequences, you could really kind of make the movie that's trimmed down. It feels like at its core, this movie is trying to tell you, hey, once Napoleon didn't have his wife, then he slips into lack of control. He really needed his wife, or he wasn't gonna really be this great guy, because once things happen where they're not as together, then it's like he's not as good on the battlefield, and he's clearly he's getting outflanked by other people, and things, he's not as much of an expert. It's like, is that true? I don't know, but what the story seems to try to present is like, the romance was so good, or it was such a strong, important romance for him that he was clearly going to it bothered him to his core. I will say, for Joaquin Phoenix, there were moments where in this movie it just feels like, man, if that's Joaquin Phoenix walking around in a silly hat. Then there's moments where it's Joaquin Phoenix like putting on his best role, but it's like it's a weird balance where it's like because it's just, he's not putting on really an accent. There's no accent. There's nothing. It's just Joaquin Phoenix with his voice, and that's fine. But that kind of also pulls you out of what you could potentially get in those scenes, because there are other actors around him that are really, they're either they're also in their roles, but they feel more fit for the time, and then you have Joaquin Phoenix, and sometimes it's like, that's clearly just Joaquin Phoenix with, again, a Napoleon hat, and then there's other times where it's like, oh, that's Napoleon. I can see that. Especially when he's on the battlefield. When he's on the battlefield, then it feels like he's in that role, and it's much better, and it fits him more. But when he's not there, it falls apart. I'd say at the end of the day, this is a movie that, if you like historical stuff, you're going to get some great sequences, some great battle sequences. Again, there's a scene where a horse, and Jeremy Jones brought this up. There's a scene where a horse gets shot with a cannon, and like literally.
Can you explain him in great detail?
No, but there's a scene where a horse, I'll say this again, gets shot with a cannon and implodes, because like the force of the cannon aims straight at the front of the horse, and it just fucking explodes.
If you're horny for horse violence, come see this movie.
Mark is missing the entire purpose of this review, but there's some great. But again, I think that what you have to be impressed by is the quality of the set design, the quality of the costume design, the quality of the acting, the quality of the feature itself. Everything about it is 10 out of 10, except for that story, which delves a little too far into romance, and I didn't need that in my Napoleon, and not Dynamite. So, this was a movie that I wouldn't really recommend. I think that there's a bunch of other period pieces you could watch, and you could probably get a sum up of Napoleon's life on Wikipedia or some website, or a book, if you'd like. So, I think Ridley Scott is cool. His movies haven't made money. Sadly, The Last Duel, which I think was his previous movie, did not break even either. That's a better movie than this movie. I'd recommend you check that out. So, guys, that's my review of Napoleon. And
thank goodness, because I was holding back on saying Dynamite so many times. One time he was like, it's neither good for Napoleon nor, and then you named another character. My head was just like, don't say Dynamite.
Fuck you.
It's neither good for Napoleon nor Dynamite.
Yeah.
Because like that name is so infamous. It's like those two words just go together. They just like roll off the tongue so well. Napoleon Dynamite.
I mean, sadly, that's the one. I mean, not sadly, but just because of how big of a pop culture icon that movie is, Napoleon Dynamite. Literally, like, anytime you do Napoleon, you could literally call it King Napoleon, and maybe that would have dropped the Dynamite.
Yeah.
Because if you lead with something else,
it's Napoleon.
Napoleon just kind of breaks. Yeah. All right. So the last thing I want to say is, like, this does bring into question the fact that, how long will Apple make these original films? Because obviously now they have a bunch of dozens of features in production right now. They are trying to become this tour de force.
They have like two period pieces within the same month span.
Within a month span, yeah, because they had Killers of the Flower Moon and they have this, but both of them are financially not coming back, it seems like, from how much they cost. So you wonder, though they're out there, how many more of these Apple original films will be out there doing it?
Are they making the money back from their fucking streaming service?
I'm sure that's helping, but of course, I think their attempt was, maybe we can get in here and we can become, we could become sort of a bigger deal. I think they'll realize these cost too much. We also have to slim down, and I think that will affect the industry a little.
Oh wait, I think I heard, because a coworker of mine has an iPhone. So I think some certain iPhone users or people who pay for Apple's.
Yeah, they get a free trial. Yeah,
they get Oh well, it's like people who have like cable subscriptions to get like free Peacock.
Yeah.
Like the base version of Peacock or some shit.
Yeah, but again, like just that. I mean, it's more related to the idea that at the end of the day, they still need to make a profit on this, and they put it in theaters because of the fact that they want this to become something profitable. And if Apple's only going to take so many losses at the box office before they say, hey, we're not going to keep doing this venture. This was a good exploration, but it's not something we want to permanently stay into. But it's cool to see again. I like, as I said in Killers of the Flower Moon, I do like the Apple Originals intro. It's very quiet. It's a tune. I like the way that the Apple is sort of dominant. It's like, hey, we are just giant. We are so big. We're ginormous. Like, it's a cool idea. I like the concept, and it's simple. So, end of the day,
apple pie.
At the end of the day, this guy is nowhere on Earth right now. So this is the ScreenBlast Podcast episode.
Apple cobbler.
Oh my God! This is the ScreenBlast episode, just talking about trailer stuff, and of course, talked about Napoleon. We hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned next week. We've got an awesome Ghibli movie that we will be discussing. So, guys, of course, you can find me at Bryan the Baltimorean, or you can find me right here on the ScreenBlast Podcast. Of course, you can find the ScreenBlast Podcast on your favorite podcast service. Or YouTube as well as Spotify as always. Mark, where can they find you?
Not Pornhub. I'm banned.
All right, so that's what.
K9 Business. It's K9BISKUTS.com.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned.
Logging out, everybody.